They're expected tomorrow. They're expected tomorrow. They're expecting you. They're expecting you. They're fast runners. They're fast runners. They're following me. They're following me. They're good folks. They're good folks. They're good people. They're good people. They're having fun. They're having fun. They're heavily armed. They're heavily armed. They're innocent men. They're innocent men. They're interesting people. They're interesting people. They're leaving us. They're leaving us. They're locked in. They're locked in. They're moving away. They're moving away. They're moving fast. They're moving fast. They're moving out. They're moving out. They're nice kids. They're nice kids. They're our clients. They're our clients. They're our friends. They're our friends. They're predicting rain. They're predicting rain. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're pretty harmless. They're pretty harmless. They're pretty new. They're pretty new. They're probably drunk. They're probably drunk. They're probably scared. They're probably scared. They're probably sleeping. They're probably sleeping. They're probably studying. They're probably studying. They're probably together. They're probably together. They're quite safe. They're quite safe. They're rather important. They're rather important. They're really big. They're really big. They're really cool. They're really cool. They're really good. They're really good. They're really harmless. They're really harmless. They're really pretty. They're really pretty. They're really ugly. They're really ugly. They're right outside. They're right outside. They're running late. They're running late. They're slowing down. They're slowing down. They're still alive. They're still alive. They're still here. They're still here. They're still inside. They're still inside. They're still kissing. They're still kissing. They're still looking. They're still looking. They're still outside. They're still outside. They're still stunned. They're still stunned. They're still together. They're still together. They're strong enough. They're strong enough. They're surprisingly good. They're surprisingly good. They're taking pictures. They're taking pictures. They're too big. They're too big. They're too dangerous. They're too dangerous. They're too fat. They're too fat. They're too late. They're too late. They're useless now. They're useless now. They're very capable. They're very capable. They're very close. They're very close. They're very dangerous. They're very dangerous. They're very enthusiastic. They're very enthusiastic. They're very good. They're very good. They're very poor. They're very poor. They're very practical. They're very practical. They're very smart. They're very smart. They're very strange. They're very strange. They're very successful. They're very successful. They're very useful. They're very useful. They're waiting outside. They're waiting outside. They're watching me. They're watching me. They're watching you. They're watching you. They're working upstairs. They're working upstairs. They're your competition. They're your competition. They've been arrested. They've been arrested. They've been caught. They've been caught. They've been damaged. They've been damaged. They've been intercepted. They've been intercepted. They've been marvelous. They've been marvelous. They've come back. They've come back. They've forgiven me. They've forgiven me. They've got friends. They've got friends. They've had enough. They've had enough. They've never met. They've never met. They've released us. They've released us. They've spotted us. They've spotted us. They've stopped firing. They've stopped firing. They've suffered enough. They've suffered enough. Eat me. Eat me. Don't call Tom. Don't call Tom. Don't mention Tom. Don't mention Tom. Has Tom arrived? Has Tom arrived? Has Tom called? Has Tom called? Has Tom left? Has Tom left? Here's Tom's number. Here's Tom's number. I'll bring Tom. I'll bring Tom. Ignore Tom's request. Ignore Tom's request. Is Tom alone? Is Tom alone? Is Tom armed? Is Tom armed? Is Tom around? Is Tom around? Is Tom asleep? Is Tom asleep? Is Tom awake? Is Tom awake? Is Tom back? Is Tom back? Is Tom better? Is Tom better?